All right, we're reacting over to Metagames X's channel. Here's got a video called Master Duel lost 94% of its players. I know why. Okay, but to be fair, if it's a 94% drop after release, that's like, you know, that's like normal. How is Master Duel doing in terms of its player base recently? So we've got June, we had 15,000 concurrent players. May was awful. There was only 13. April sucked as well. I mean, if we look at this time last year, we were at like 19,000 players May and June. So, yeah, it's not an 85%. We just like put numbers on the screen on YouTube, to be fair. 94% of its play. Master Duel is dead. Okay, but to be fair, let's click it.
I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh!
What? Dude, he's wearing a tank top, so you know he means business.
Since 2001. I was there for Graceful Charity, I was there for Chaos Format, I watched this game evolve from a kid's card game into one of the most technically complex card games on the planet, and I've loved almost every second of it. So when Master Duel launched, I was there on day one. A free-to-play, fully legal Yu-Gi-Oh! Simulator on PC, console, and mobile, available to everyone for free. That's everything the community had been asking for and more, for years. And honestly, there's part of this video where I talk about how great Master Duel is, because it is great in a lot of different ways. But that's not the point of this video, because the longer I've played Master Duel, and I mean really played it, I've played in several DC Cups, World Championship qualifiers, 24-hour streams grinding to Master 1, I've gotten rated on at least a dozen ranked seasons in Master Duel, the more I've come to believe that Master Duel, as it currently operates, is the worst possible way to experience Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's not even close. And that's a painful thing to say about the game I love. So today, I want to have a real honest conversation.
Dude, come on, it's not that bad, dude. Look, come on. Okay, like, have you played Cross Duel? Alright, have you tried Cross Duel? I need a Cross Duel review. Alright, Duel Links is pretty fucking bad, alright?
We're going to talk about what Master Duel does right, because it does deserve some credit, but we're going to be talking about the elephant in the room. The ban list, best of one format, and why those two things together fundamentally make a very broken experience for most players. We're going to finish with what I want to see actually change, because this isn't me just venting. This comes from
you know what? The thing I don't get about Master Duel's ban list is it's almost like identical to OCG. But like one is best of 3 and one is best of 1. And I think you just need a fundamentally different ban list for best of 1. Best of 1 is fine. I actually, low-key, like over the years, I've started to really prefer best of 1 in Yu-Gi-Oh! But like from a competitive perspective, like the ban list has to reflect that. You need to significantly drop the number of auto I win buttons, and Master Duel has way more of them than TCG, which is best of 3, which makes no sense. Like the fact that you can randomly queue into a Rise Heart in Master Duel, it's like, yeah, that deck is not good, but like, okay, cool. Like I just lose, right? I just straight up just lose. You know, it's like, okay. Why does that card exist? Comparatively in the TCG, it's banned for some reason, you know? So I think the ban list should be more heavier against Master Duel, but at the same time, it's like, it's really weird, right? Because Master Duel is supposed to be the casual player's experience, and playing dumb decks is like sort of the allure. It's not great from a competitive perspective, but like, or a balance perspective, but low-key, like, I've enjoyed building a bunch of dumb, like, stupid decks with crazy cards that normally aren't playable in TCG. But maybe that's more of a mirroring OCG issue. Alting a Rise Heart is very easy. Yeah, dude, shut up.
Place of me wanting the game to genuinely get better. Let's get right into it. Part 1. What Master Duel gets right. Before I go in on Master Duel, I want to be fair, because I think the discourse around Master Duel sometimes swings too far in either direction. People either say...
Okay, metagames... When you were, like, gathering the B-roll to play for this video, to have run in the background while you talked, did we really need to get an opponent called Arabi Jihadi?
It's perfect or it's unplayable garbage, when the truth is much more nuanced than that. Let's start about the thing that Master Duel does arguably better than most games in its genre, accessibility.
How are his cards, like, so colorful? That looks really cool. It's like the saturation here is like turned up. Is that like a setting? It looks really nice.
You want to build a competitive deck in the Yu-Gi-Oh!
Is that your
TCG,
alt?
you're potentially looking at hundreds of dollars, sometimes more. Hand traps alone can run $50, $60, $80 a piece. Master Duel says, here's a free-to-play game where you can earn gems, craft cards, and build competitive decks without spending a single dollar. And for the most part, that promise holds up. Is the economy perfect? No. There are frustrations, especially when the chase cards are locked behind packs with terrible pull rates. But as a floor, the fact that you can download this game, grind some solo content, and put together a competitive list without spending money is genuinely
Should we skip the
remarkable.
get right
It lowered
section?
the barrier for entry on Yu-Gi-Oh! In a way that nothing before it.
Like, I know, like, you know, you're supposed to watch the whole video, but, like, we're here to argue and to get angry and engage with, you know, rage bait, right? So why would we watch the positive side? Okay, we don't care about happiness. We're only here to be miserable and get mad.
Really had. I've helped newer players get into Yu-Gi-Oh! Through my favorite deck, Branded, specifically because they could try it without a financial commitment.
Wait, this guy likes Branded? Wait, hold up. I didn't know that. I couldn't tell. Wow. I'm not sure what the giveaway there, but I think this guy likes Branded. How he managed to make a video longer than April's is impressive.
Man, that matters. Now let's talk about the DC Cup. It's something I actually think is genuinely a creative addition to competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! For those who don't know, the Duelist Cup is a periodic ranked event where instead of traditional ladder points, you're climbing a score-based leaderboard. Your placement determines your ranking nationally and globally. And top finishers can qualify for the Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship. The format creates a different
DC
kind of
Cup.
pressure than normal
I love the
Master
DC
Duel
Cup
ranked,
Cup.
or even IRL tournaments.
I love the
It's a
Sahara
different
Desert
kind of
non-bred
experience with
Sharia
Yu-Gi-Oh!
law.
You're trying to reach the mountaintop, and with that kind of peak mentality, the idea of pacing yourself, identifying your best window.
This is
and
really
knowing
sus.
when to
Why does he
stop,
have so
that's
much
actually a real
Numeron
skill, and that's
gameplay?
one that a lot of the community dismisses when they post DC Cup.
I
as a
hope that's
war
like
crime, since
randomly
the event
from
takes
the
place across
YouTube like
72 hours,
feed
a
or
whole
something.
weekend. So one of the
that he
general
just go,
sentiments
'cause
on the
that's-
DC Cup is that you have
Why
to
do we
stay
have
up for
so much
72 hours
Neuron
to
duels?
properly compete. But here's my honest take on that. Yes, the DC Cup can be brutal, but when you look at the people who consistently perform well in it, like Tasaku and Ryan Yu, they're sleeping,
Farfa!
they're pacing themselves. The narrative of I had to destroy my body
We need to do
get
another
top
interview
100
with
is
Task.
sometimes true, but it's also sometimes a choice. The players at the top of the leaderboard are treating it like a marathon, not a sprint. The DC Cup is a cool format. The concept is sound. I actually enjoy it when the ban list doesn't ruin it, which brings me to my next point. And I think the last thing that Master Duel really deserves credit on is that
What did Master Duel do correctly? 3-minute chapter. What did Master Duel do wrong? 30 minutes remaining on the video.
it keeps the lights on. New selection packs, events, solo content, and ban lists every month. The game is alive. Konami is actively developing it, adding new archetypes, running festivals,
Thank you for
seasonal
reselling,
events, or a
Dorif.
live service game. That matters.
And,
It's not perfect
fully on.
content. I think a lot of us expected more out of Master Duel 5 years later after its release, but the consistent output means there's always something happening in the game, and that's not nothing.
I do feel like
Part
Master
two,
Duel
the
should have
problem,
like
and it all
had
starts
more
with the
things
ban
in the
list.
game now.
Okay, here we go.
Like
I
I
want to
love
be
what they
precise
did with
here, because
the what's it called, like the solo mode updates. Like now solo modes are legitimately like really good, but I feel like that's like why was that just not there on release? I really hate that there just isn't an alternative game mode. The closest thing that we have is genuinely like the Duel Trials, right? Like it's like Tavern Brawl style thing from Hearthstone if anyone's played, which is super cool. I just wish it was a little bit more frequent or robust, or, you know, like deck building for obscenely obscure situations means you have to like really think about Yu-Gi-Oh cards in a different context, and it isn't just like, oh, here's another Duel festival, but this time it's Fusion Synchro, and maybe a couple of hand traps you normally would play are banned or limited, and it's like, okay, well, you're kind of just like, think of playing Yu-Gi-Oh as like a sandbox. And inside that sandbox, Konami can change the shape of the sand. They can give you different tools to play with the sand. They can give you a spade, a shovel, a bowl. And that's really what they do with the Duel Festival, right? They're just sort of like moving the things around. Whereas the Duel Trials can sometimes be like, you're not even in a sandbox anymore. You're in like a boat. Like you're in the water now, right? Because it's a whole different like way to play the game when your life points is capped at 2025, right? Like the cards you play become fundamentally different, right? Ash Blossom isn't good there, for example. And, you know, there's like I keep bringing it up a million times that I've talked about, like sealed stuff. Like, you know, Hearthstone has Arena where you literally go in and you draft and you play against other drafted decks. Like, why is that not a very like direct, a very specific like thing that they've done? And they can make infinite money from it because guess what? In order to enter it, you just pay gems. It costs gems to enter, right? And if you're really good at draft, you get more out than you spent, right? Exactly like Hearthstone Arena, for example. I really feel like that would be a super strong game mode, and I don't know, just doesn't exist. Maybe we'll get Master Duel Battlegrounds one day. That'll be because it's really funny. You look at the Hearthstone section, like basically no one plays constructed Hearthstone anymore. It's all like Battleground content, especially at its peak. Like, oh my god, like constructed Hearthstone actually just died. So maybe that would be a bad thing. Who knows? Anyway, I'm just yapping now. So that's all I wanted to say in terms of like other things that Master Duel could have done.
I think a lot of Master Duel criticism can sometimes be vague with no answers. People say ban list is bad without explaining why it's bad in a way that's specific to Master Duel, so let me lay this out clearly. There are two problems. They are related. Together make the game significantly worse than what it should be. Problem 1, the ban list philosophy. Consistency hits over power hits. And problem 2, the philosophy is applied to a best of one format with no side deck. Those two things are in combination why Master Duel can genuinely feel unplayable at its worst. Master Duel runs its own ban list separate from the TCG. It pulls some influence from the OCG, and the OCG does tend to hit things faster than the TCG, which sometimes you can...
Oh my god, sorry, this is completely random. Dude, that's a big fucking jug of water. Like, he's chugging. That's the DC Cup, like, fuel right there. That's a big bottle.
From the OCG, and the OCG
sorry, I don't know why that, like,
things
amused me
the
so
TCG,
much.
which sometimes you can at least respect. But both share a core philosophy. When something is broken, rather than banning the card outright, they tend to limit it.
That's a crazy comparison. Like, if any of these cards hit the board in Master Duel and resolve, like, you probably just lose, right? Like, if your opponent summons Dyna, like, your win rate drops drastically. If your opponent successfully, like, resolves Block Dragon, they're definitely doing some bullshit. A Rise Heart's on the board, like, you probably lose. Maxi successfully resolves, you probably lose. Like, I don't know. And it's funny because, like, comparatively in TCG, none of those are legal. That's wild.
Or semi-limit it.
Also, one thing he touched upon was like the ban list philosophy of like, oh, let's do consistency hits over problem hits. It's like, it's really weird, but it seems like Master Duel and OCG in general, when they hit your deck, they hit it in a way where they want you to feel miserable playing it because you're just going to brick 50% of the time. But they also don't want to take the fun toys away because it's fun to play with the dumb bad deck that's really inconsistent but also is really unfair and crazy sometimes. So, yeah, like, I don't know, Adamancipator Combo Slop technically is full power or whatever, well, close to it in Master Duel. But it's such a bricky garbage mess that, like, you're just not going to have fun playing it, and it's terrible going second and loses to most hand traps. So that's what happens when they hit cards in a way that just take away all of the consistency, is like, yeah, you just lose to, like, all disruptions now. But it's technically not dealing with the problem because you can still just get a Rise Hearted or full comboed plus Baron or Dyna or both.
Or they just hit the consistency of the deck, not the actual ceiling. What does this mean in practice, though? That means instead of banning a card that creates an unbeatable board state, they limit you to one copy of a Searcher. The deck still makes the same board, it's just slightly less consistent about it. And I get that logic. There's a real design argument that says you want decks to still be playable and you don't want to nuke entire decks from the format. That's a fair consideration. Nobody wants their...
Do you remember the Backrooms World Championship? Like, for some reason, OCG players all just played the tier limit for some reason. And all the TCG players brought like Dragon Link, I think, was like really good. That was funny. I don't know what I had to say about that, but I just thought it was funny. Like a bunch of OCG players just played tier limit and they had 0 tops.
Collection invalidated overnight. But there's a limit before that philosophy just stops making sense. And in Master Duel, we are all past that limit. I'm going to talk more about that in a few minutes. However, I do want to cover just the broad overview. I want to talk about why floodgates exist in Yu-Gi-Oh! Before I tear into how they're being used, because I think that gets lost in most of these conversations. Modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Is built around one-card starters. You open an X Ryzeal in Ryzeal, or you resolve a Radiant Typhoon starter, and if that one card resolves, you're building a board that most of the format usually can't answer. That's just the reality of how decks are designed now. You're forced to either have enough hand traps to stop your opponent, or just have a floodgate that says you cannot play the game. And because of that, some players, depending on the day,
it's a little bit reductive, I feel like, right?
There breaks on a card.
Like, I feel like they've moved away from that a lot in recent years, right? Like, I think that was definitely true maybe like 24, 25, but I think things are definitely pushing a little bit past that right now, especially in TCG. Although I say that now. If you guys watched literally today the new Medias cards that dropped, maybe he's right. Like, maybe we're going back to that shit. Because if you've seen those new Medias cards, that is exactly what, like, the problem he just described as.
That weren't built with any. Something has to exist sometimes so you can just not resolve your one card combo and make an unbreakable board every single time. There are more impactful floodgates in the game, such as Maxi, Mulcharmy Fuwalos, Dimensional Shifter, that effectively tell your opponent to stop playing the game. And most decks usually end up running these. Then there's more traditional floodgates that, like Skill Drain, that just says your opponent cannot activate an effect, but it has to already be on board. So those types of floodgates like Dimensional Fissure only really benefit the person going first. Whereas Fuwalos, Maxi, these are hand traps that can be used on your opponent's turn when they go first. I don't hate the idea in principle. The problem is what happens when you put that idea inside of a best of one format with no side deck. There are two categories of floodgates that create different problems. Going second floodgates like Dimensional Shifter, Maxi are cards that are specifically good when you're behind on your board. When your opponent is trying to combo off, on paper, that's a check on the resolve one card win the game problem. In practice, in Master Duel, these cards don't really check anything. They just tell your opponent to stop playing the game. There's no in-between state where they slow someone down. You either play around Shifter perfectly from turn 1, or your combo just doesn't happen. You draw Maxi, and your opponent has to choose between stopping their combo dead or handing you a pile of extra draws that basically say you win the game on the spot. Neither outcome involves any actual back and forth. One player just gets told no. And then there's the going first floodgates. These are generally considered more toxic, usually, because they're only good going first, which already in Yu-Gi-Oh, the person who goes first has a great advantage in Yu-Gi-Oh, being able to set up your board of interruptions before your opponent even gets to play the game. Dimensional Fissure and Fossil Dino Pachycephalo are the biggest offenders in Master Duel. Instead of stopping your opponent's turn, they lock in an end board that's borderline impossible to play through. And here's where it gets interesting. You'd think in a coin flip format where you only get to be on the play half the time, the players would avoid these cards. Why would you run a card if it's dead weight if you lose the coin flip and go second? But that's not always what happens. Players main these cards anyway.
How did we lose to Code Talker Pass here?
Because in
what happened?
Best of one, going first is precious. You don't get to side in an answer for game 2 if you don't draw it. So the calculation becomes, I'd rather guarantee my going first end board is unbeatable than worry about occasionally bricking going second. And that's why you still see Fossil Dyna in decks like Magnet Warrior or Dimensional Fissure in any deck that can really run it, because they don't care about their monsters being banished all the time. Master Duel's own coin flip structure in a best of one format is what's incentivizing players to keep running these cards. Either way, going first or going second, the Floodgate is doing the same thing to the actual experience of Yu-Gi-Oh! It's removing back and forth. And the back and forth is the best part of Yu-Gi-Oh! The grind games where both players are genuinely fighting over resources and outplaying each other under pressure are what separate this game from a lot of other games. Floodgates just end it before it starts. In Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG and OCG...
Whoa, I mean, that's not the comparison I make with other games, right? Like, back and forths and grind games is, like, the principle of things like Magic, Runeterra, Hearthstone, right? Whereas Yu-Gi-Oh! It's like, that is the furthest away from all those three of those, no? But it's correct in the sense that, yeah, all the best Yu-Gi-Oh! Games are back and forths, breaking boards, navigating disruption, trying to OTK through it, trying to remove the board and set up your own board, like, you know. I'm just very worried we're not gonna have that soon. Like, I'm not kidding when I say, like, the next, like, wave of, like, Media's cards are disgusting. Like, the new Toon cards are, like, horrific. Like, so I don't know, man. It's always like one step forward, two steps back with Konami, because I think the Jush decks did a really good job of taking a lot of agency away from like turn one and focusing it more on the long term. And it just genuinely feels like we're going back to that. And I don't know why that happened.
The other two formats in Yu-Gi-Oh! This gets curtailed by being mostly best of 3 formats. You get floodgated game 1, that's rough, but you go to game 2, and then you have a full side deck of outs. Kaiju.
See, the thing is, like, I've always hated this argument that some people like to make to justify, like, floodgates and stuff. I'm not saying he's making it, but, like, you know, it's like, oh, well, yeah, it's fine because in best of 3, you can just side deck and you can get another chance at beating the floodgate. But it's like, well, yeah, but, like, if your argument for the floodgates existing and being around is that, well, you can maybe just beat them in game 2 and 3, it's like, well, then what even was the point of the game 1? Like, all you're doing is extending that process for no real sort of gameplay reason. It's just, we're just sort of playing around with math and numbers and being like, oh, well, game 2 and 3, they might not draw it. So it's like, well, why did that even happen in the first place then? Like, what is it quantifiably adding to the quality of the duel, right? It's, you know... You go game 2 and you floodgate them back, and then in game 3 you pack in the outs. Yeah, is that like meaningful gameplay? Is that meaningful side decking? Like, you know?
Use Droll, Lightning Storm.
Hot take, we need non-games and card games.
And in
That's
games
a
2
whole
and 3,
other
you actually get
discussion,
to use
but
them. In best of
yes,
1, though,
but maybe
you
not
get
for the
floodgated
reasons you
once and your
think.
match is probably over. There's no game 2 to fix it. Alright, so let's talk about some of these banned cards that probably shouldn't be legal anywhere. Beyond Floodgates specifically, Master Duel keeps cards legal that are banned in every other Yu-Gi-Oh format for good reason, and the reasoning behind those bans usually still applies. Baronne de Fleur is the clearest example. It gives every deck with access to a generic Omni-Negate that can protect a board or blow one up. Regardless of whether it's a Kashtira card, a Magnet Warrior card, or anything else entirely, it's a free splashable answer that inflates the ceiling of any strategy that could just special summon it and make a level 10 synchro. There's a reason why it's banned in TCG, and Master Duel and OCG just let it ride. Arizar is
Sorry, what the fuck was that end board?
reason why it's banned in TCG.
Baron Vespinato Citadel? Like, what is that? Like, that wasn't a good example we're showing here. I'm gonna be honest.
CG and Master Duel and OCG just let it ride. Arizar is another one. Kashtira on its own is a genuinely well-designed Yu-Gi-Oh deck. The boss monsters are interactive
is too much,
and they're fair on their
7 to
face.
8.
But
Oh, I had this hot take about the extra deck. I think low-key the extra deck should be like 10 cards max or something. You know? That could potentially deal with a lot of issues. But again, you're sort of just playing roulette with like which deck suffers most from the extra deck, because it sometimes doesn't actually take away from the toxicity of it all, right? Just because you have less extra deck options. But it does mean that, like, you know, perfect example, right? I'm currently playing Radiant Typhoon a lot, right? Like, Radiant Typhoon could play with like 2 extra deck cards and it would be fine, right? But because you're now limited by your extra deck, you don't get to play like really broken toxic shit, right? Like the zoo cards, right? Because the zoo cards is what makes that deck like really unreasonable, you know? So there are like arguments and merits to why like dropping the extra deck could help a lot of this. Removing the bridges is like really big, you know, because there's nothing more frustrating than like, oh, I'm going to play out this combo, do a bunch of stuff, and you're going to stop me, but then I'm just going to turn 2 bodies into Close Moon and then do also like a Fiendsmith line now. Or you're going to like stop me here, but I'm just going to overlay and go King of the Pharaoh Imps and add Habakiri or something, right? Like, those might not be as relevant lines today, but like historically we've seen so many examples of like, oh, I'm just going to turn my 2 bodies into Nightmare Mermaid, or I'm just gonna like get stopped and I'm just gonna make Verte and make a DPE, which is like, you know, non-targeting pop destruction plus draw 2 on the following turn. Like historically we've seen that happen so many times. Like they do need to probably just curb it. But at the same time, I don't know, dude, like it's also like really fun. Like you know, it's the paradox of Yu-Gi-Oh! It's like this shit is like really fun. I'm sorry, but like summoning Baron and like the 13th best deck in the format like feels good. Like I don't know what to tell you. That's just my feelings, and a lot of people feel the same. Like, yeah, a lot of these cards are crazy broken and toxic, but it is fucking fun, man. That's the reality.
Shiro Riseheart turns that deck toxic because
like sometimes not every game has to be like the back and forth crazy chess, like masterminded, mathematically calculated duel that competitive players want it to be. Sometimes it's just fucking fun to just summon broken shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, dude.
banishes any card that hits either graveyard. But modern Yu-Gi-Oh runs on resources going to the graveyard. Most decks need to use their
Did we
graveyard.
find out
to
if he has a
function
point yet?
effectively. So
Yeah, Master Duel bad. That's that's his point, and he's like, it's not difficult. That's the simple premise of the video. Master Duel bad. Here's why.
Riseheart resolving means your opponent's entire deck usually gets shut off. It's banned in every...
Bro, I can't wait for Instant Fusion tomorrow. Holy shit. Tomorrow's stream is going to be split into like Tier Element gameplay and Fairy Tail. I'm excited.
every other format except for Master Duel, and for some reason they chose to do the consistency hits to Kashtira instead of actually hitting the problem card of Kashtira. And then there's a
It's funny because they just brought back the Kashtira cards, right? Fenrir's at 3 now, so...
both side to this. Cards like Cyframe Lord Omega, letting synchro strategies, whether it's a synchron build or something like Elf Note White Forest piles.
Yeah, dude, like, I don't think, like, having 3 thrust and instant fusion is, like, surprisingly, like, really big for Tier Element. Like, it's probably not going to make the deck meta, but, like, I'm excited.
Into repeated hand rip effects from Cyframe Lord Omega until your opponent is sitting on 2 or 3 cards in hand across from a full board of negates. Nobody can play around that.
Okay.
It's the kind of thing that necessitates seeing a Max C or a Molcharmi Fulos or a Droll and Lockbird just to even have a chance. And even then, those answers aren't guaranteed, because some of
Toons look like the most degenerate deck ever, but it also looks insanely fun. Sometimes you really can't help it but want to play the broken shit. Like, genuinely, that's like the problem, right? Like, we sit here and we complain about like toxic broken Yu-Gi-Oh combos and bridges and extra deck pieces that go into other whole ass other engines and decks, but like, yeah, that might not be the most fun thing to play against or epically cool and balanced, but it's just fucking fun, dude. Like, it's just fun. How does Toon look fun to anyone? Dude, are you kidding me? Summoning Funny Rabbit and making like 20 extra deck summons is like crazy fun.
Them aren't good
It's
against
just not fun to play against.
Roll isn't great into every deck. Fulos is at least fair, since it's a going second only tool, basically the fair version of Max C, since Max C can be used going first, so people much more hate that kind of card. And you don't get to draw off of every single special summon on Fulos, as you do with Max C. In modern Yu-Gi-Oh, you really do have to special summon to be able to play the game, but Fulos gives a little wiggle room.
Like, by the way, just to like clarify, I'm not like defending a lot of that or justifying it. What I'm saying is like, because it's so fun, that's why a lot of the OCG hits you'll see are like, or Macedo hits are like consistency hits, right? Because they don't actually really want to take that fun away from you. They know that people love playing like dumb, crazy, wacky combos that do all these like stupid things, but they're removing the meta viability of it by removing the consistency in the way, and you're just never going to see that in a DC Cup or like even like rated duels, because having the patience to play that all the way through to there is just not going to happen, right? That's not the why. It is, though. They want you to be able to, like, still play that dumb shit. They're just taking away the consistency of it because they don't want it to be meta, right? Like, that makes... I mean, we don't know. They've never told us. We can only interpret. You know, I'm sure there's multiple reasons why. But it makes sense.
Unlike Max C. But sometimes you just don't even draw them. And when you don't, there's no game 2 to fall back on. This is the forever problem of deck building in Master Duel. It's never enough. You can build the tightest 40 card deck that you know how to build, and it still won't matter if your opponent resolves the wrong card and you didn't draw the out, or you just weren't able to main deck non-engine that's good into certain strategies because it's best of one. This is the core of my argument. I want to spend some real time here because I don't think it gets talked enough. Best of 3 with a side deck is fundamentally a self-correcting format. If you get blown out of the game by one Floodgate or a hand trap, you have the ability to fix your deck for game 2, and you can side in Lava Golem, Sphere Mode, Evenly Match, you can side in your Droll, you can adapt to what you're seeing, and the existing Sphere Mode,
just before he goes on here, I just want to clarify this. Again, I'm not saying he's arguing this, but like, what is it that this like makes more fun than best of one, right? Like, in what world is having these cards dropped against you like more fun than just playing best of one, right? Like, these are not fun cards. They're in the side deck to do like unfair things, but that's because unfair going first is just unfair. So to counter unfair, you need to play unfair cards, right? Like, that's just the Ouroboros self like consuming cycle that Yu-Gi-Oh takes, right? It's like it creates a problem and it fixes the problem with a big problem, and then in order for that big problem to be power crept, they have to make a bigger problem and then make bigger problems that fix those big problems, right? Like, that's the whole point of what's his name video that we watched like a couple months ago, right? It's very true. So yeah, like, these are not fun cards, you know?
You can side in your Droll, you can adapt to what you're seeing, and the existence of the side deck means that truly oppressive strategies get naturally checked over the course of the match. Best of one has none of that. In Best of one, every game is a standalone event. There's no adaptation.
Wait, he is kind of justifying those cards because it self-corrects, but like, is it self-correcting? Like, again, I just feel like draw the out gameplay is not interesting.
Correction. Whatever your opponent opens with, you have to be prepared for it in your main deck. Right now, from the very first card drawn, that is a fundamentally different design constraint. And here's the thing that kills me. Konami knows this, or at least they should, because the
That's more Numeron gameplay, by the way.
Logical
Best of One is actually better here since it discourages people for playing these degenerate cards. That's a hot take, but like, I can see merit to that. Because think about it, right? If you're just playing Dynastun, like, you just can't do anything 50% of the games because you just lose the coin flip. That's not including how inconsistent those garbage decks are, right? Even if you do win the coin flip, it's like, well, I didn't draw a Floodgate, maybe, right? I just have like strikes and crackdowns, right? So because it's best of one, like, you could in some ways argue and interpret like people's view of that as, well, this stun deck is like so inconsistent and bad in a best of one environment because I literally just have to win the coin flip in order for this deck to even stand a chance, that it dissuades people from playing those decks, because then you just play meta deck because they actually can have a chance going second, right? So I think that's actually really interesting. You could actually look at that and be like, yeah, no, that might actually be a good argument for best of one. It's like Floodgates that are only good going first or second are significantly worse in a best of one environment because you can lose the coin flip.
Response to best of one without side decks is that your ban list has to do some of the work that the side deck would. You can't let certain cards exist in this format because there's no natural check on them. The ban list has to be more aggressive, not less. You have to remove the blowout cards, remove the floodgates, and remove the cards that win or lose games before they even start. Instead, we have a ban list that is way less aggressive than the TCG, which is a format that has a side deck for you to put in any answers that you want for that metagame in your deck. Konami has the perfect comparison point sitting right in front of them. Magnet Warrior in the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG is genuinely a fair and fun deck. It doesn't have Fossil Dyna, Baronne de Fleur, or Black Dragon at its disposal like it does in Master Duel.
Whoa, hold on. One of those is not like the other. Come on. Yo, be reasonable here.
And performed pretty well over the last year as a non-tier 1 strategy that people enjoy playing. In Master Duel, the deck still
Three
isn't
dragons
tier 1,
meme.
but if you lose the
Yeah.
die roll and don't draw a Maxi or a Fuelos, you basically have to surrender. Because the end-board Magnet Warriors have access to on Master Duel.
That's crazy. He's showing Yugi Duel Monsters Magnet Warriors.
Thanks to cards banned literally everywhere else, is unbreakable. It's the same archetype,
same deck,
same
really.
core strategy, except you have a wildly different experience because of what Master Duel lets stay legal. And in my opinion, that is completely backwards. What it feels to actually play Master Duel. I want to get personal here for a second, because I think numbers in theory are only part of the equation. I peaked around at 27,000 on the DC Cup leaderboard before. Not that impressive. However, I've played about a half dozen DC Cups in WCQs, and I've had multiple 12 to 24 hour streams of Master Duel. I was actually planning on streaming Master Duel every single day with the new branded support that came out. I went ranked, fought through the grind for multiple 12-hour sessions for the last 2 years on and off. I love Master Duel, and I keep coming back for a reason. The game is good for a while.
Wait,
the duels are interesting. You're seeing cool plays. The format feels like
video isn't live? How?
And then it happens. You get Maxied turn 1. Or maybe you get Harpy Feather Stormed, and you literally cannot play the game, since it negates the effects of all monsters for the whole turn, as long as the opponent controls a wind monster. And the frustration isn't just
Did he
losing.
get a tattoo
I'm
in
fine
the time
with losing.
he made the first
Anyone who
part of
plays
this video?
competitive card games knows losing is a part of it, and there's a lot of value in learning from your mistakes. The frustration comes from losing to things that should not be legal in a best of one format. There is a difference between losing because I got outplayed and losing because the format let something exist that no amount.
I don't know if you can tell, but he's like significantly more angrier in this part of the filming. So I think he he got madder during the second portion of filming this video. I think that's really funny.
Of skill could have answered. In my opinion, the real skill of Master Duel, and I mean this genuinely, is just not getting tilted. It's not deck building, it's not sequencing, it's not reading what your opponents do.
I mean, as funny as that is, like, if you guys ever watched the podcast that me and Josh used to do, we brought Ryan on at some point. It was like literally just like, okay, well, can you genuinely just explain to us like what's the fucking difference between you and everyone else? Like, why is Ryan just so much better than every other Master Duel player? Like, why? Like, like, how, like, what is the reason? And his answer was literally just, like, a mentality. Like, just, like, he doesn't get tilted. Like, he just loses a game, and it's like, okay, cool, that's fine. Like, I'll go next, right? And he always says it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. You need to think of the DC Cup grind or the WC grind, whatever it is. You have to think of it as one big game. One long, single match in Yu-Gi-Oh! With hundreds of games in between that you're like going in and out of and preparing for and quote unquote side decking for by changing decks, taking breaks, etc., etc. Like skill wise, technical play wise, Ryan isn't that much better than like every other like top tier player. Like the difference in skill and technical play between like Ryan and Jesse is like just it's not that much between them, right? But what Ryan just does significantly better than like everyone else because, well, he's just built differently. Like he just has the mentality for this type of environment, right? So he's very much better. Depends on the deck, depends on the format, depends on, you know, like different people have different skill sets and are good at different things. And I'm sure Jesse is good at and better at some decks than Ryan is, and vice versa. But like, I'm just saying, like, the gap between first and second just can't be that much, right? It has to just be like a mental thing, you know? If you ever watch Task VODs, he only ever scoops when he completely exhausts all his win conditions. I have noticed that as well. Like, a lot of them will play games out that look completely unwinnable. Like, completely unwinnable. Which is a weird, like, balance because, like, when you have limited time, like 3 days, it's like sometimes scooping a game and just saving time and trying to then win a game in place of that time that you were losing is better than, but like, at the same time, like, yeah, a lot of these people, like, they, after watching them, like, they do straight up just sit there and, you know, play. You know, they never scoop. Like, if any game is winnable, basically.
Although those are all very important, but to be a top Master Duel player, in my opinion, from what it seems like, it's having the mental fortitude to eat a Dimensional Shifter, Maxi, all these different blowout cards, losing die roll into pseudo FTK end boards, which are basically unbreakable, and being able to keep queuing up without throwing your keyboard. And I'm only human.
Most of the
There's
time
only so much of that that you can absorb before it
streams,
stops being fun. And that's why I stopped streaming daily Master Duel. It's just better for my mental health. The ban list hits the wrong things. Here's a
Bro, this is crazy. This is actually crazy. Sometimes the opponent will absolutely fumble. Farfa streams taught me that. Bro, that's crazy. Like, that's insane.
Specific thing I want to call out. When the ban list does happen on Master Duel, it often hits the wrong cards. The pattern I keep seeing is hit consistency but spare the power ceiling of decks. You limit a searcher, but you leave the broken end board piece alone. Maybe semi-limit one of the best one-card starters, while leaving the deck's Floodgate in the case of Kashtira, which gets to keep a Rise Heart, but they nerf the deck's consistency for so long. Tearlaments gets to keep its broken fusion monster, Tearlaments Kikalos, which is banned in both OCG and TCG. But
Kikalos isn't broken, that's my hot take. Kikalos is the piece of the puzzle that links the deck and gels it all together. I don't think Kikalos is fundamentally broken. I don't think that's the problem with Tearlament. Hot take. Hot take.
They decided
I think she's powerful. I think she's very good, but I don't think she's like the problem card. Hot take. Hot take.
And some of the names, which help the engine start the deck, so it's less consistent in the ceiling it can achieve. And one of the best decks of 2025 in Snake Eye got to keep its best card in its whole deck, OSS, while having to take consistency hits. While this card is banned.
Vsauce is the problem.
The deck ceilings stay exactly
quite literally
where
if you've
were.
read the manga.
The only thing that changes is the reliability of hitting that end board. What this produces is a format where every deck has a ceiling that's way too high. But now your good draws feel slightly less reliable. That can be a frustrating experience just bricking. You've made the format more random without making it less oppressive. The games you lose just as hard. The games you win slightly less cleanly because your consistency got hit. In my opinion, that's the worst of both worlds. And I think I understand why this happens, even if I disagree. My honest theory is that Master Duel devs are balancing the game the same way a lot of live service online games balance things. They're watching usage percentages and win rates on a spreadsheet and hitting a deck until its numbers land in whatever target range they've decided is healthy for the deck. It's the same approach that you'd see in something like Teamfight Tactics, where a comp gets nerfed once its pick rate crosses a threshold. The problem is that that approach strips the context of why a card was broken in the first place. A deck sitting at a 48% win rate because it doesn't function without its Floodgate isn't the same thing as a deck sitting at a 48% win rate because it's actually balanced. The stat looks identical, the play experience is nothing alike. Compare this to how the TCG has handled this. The TCG just bans outright power cards. They were the first to get rid of Kashtira Riseheart, Kikalos, Fossil Dyna, Borreload Savage Dragon, and Baronne de Fleur, and they let the decks that use those cards evolve around that loss. And it works. Kashtira was plenty playable after a Riseheart got banned. And losing that piece actually pushed the deck into genuine new lines and innovations. Tearlaments lost Kikalos when people thought the deck was dead, and it went up to put up dozens of strong results, including winning multiple YCSs and Nationals with the loss of Kikalos. The archetype survives, it just actually has to be a fair deck instead of a delivery system for one.
Told you, Kikalos isn't that good.
Busted card.
Hot take.
Master Duel is scared to do that, frankly. And in a best of one format, that's completely backwards. The TCG philosophy of removing the outright power cards is the approach that would actually work best in Master Duel, not the worst. Instead, we get games decided by a coin flip. Did you happen to open the hand trap that stops your opponent from reaching a board that's laughably unbreakable? Or did you not? If you didn't, well, skill issue, I guess. The cards that don't belong in best of one aren't consistency pieces, they are power cards.
Holy, that's a board.
Hand traps that end turns, cards that create non-games. Those are the hits that would actually change what the format feels to play. But those cards are largely untouched, or touch years after the community had been screaming about them. I remember having these exact complaints 2 years ago about Master Duel, and when I look at the current ban list, a lot of those same conversations are still going, and a lot of those same cards are legal, and it seems like Master Duel devs really don't care about the balance of the game when they're constantly unbanning and limit testing how broken some banned cards are in the format.
Shut up! No! Don't show this deck. Don't show this deck. No.
Zodiac Broad Bowl and now Instant Fusion.
Oh, for fuck's sake! God damn it!
Coming back, which has been one of the most broken spells across Yu-Gi-Oh's history, with one of its best targets still legal in Kikkalos, and Norden will be coming soon with its...
Look, man. This shit right here, this is the Mona Lisa of Yu-Gi-Oh! Alright, this is gorgeous. Okay? Look, I don't need you to say otherwise, but this deck is fun, okay? Look, this deck is fun. See, look, there's losses here. See?
Rada now, which was famously Instant Fusion's most egregious abuser, is coming back with a new effect that just makes it
did anyone make that?
This just makes
gif
Master
yet,
Duel feel like a testing ground for Konami's other formats to see what works and what doesn't, and the players and the balance all suffer for this. Why Konami might actually prefer it this way, I want to lay it out because I think it explains a lot of the decisions that otherwise do not make sense. Best of One exists because Master Duel is a mobile-first live service game, and a lot of players are on their phones in short sessions competing for attention against every other app on their home screen. Best of 3 takes longer, it asks more of the player's time, and my honest read is that Konami looked at that and decided Best of 3 wasn't approachable for this platform. Fine, that's a legitimate business decision. And I think Best of One has high potential to be one of the best formats Yu-Gi-Oh could have. But if you make that call, the responsible follow-through is to balance the game around Best of One. Lower the power ceiling across the format, ban the floodgates, and build a format where short single games
mobile gaming
can
is
feel
huge
fair
in
and interactive.
the East.
That would be a completely defensible version.
I was at the World Championship for the, what was it, the first World Championship? 2024? 23? They had a special event on that people who had tickets could come and duel the master. And it was literally just Task sitting at a table with his phone, and people would queue up and they would come and they would like duel against Task, like just on their phones. And that was like an event they had like for, you know, side event things for the players. Yeah, mobile games, huge in East Asia.
Of Master Duel. Instead, we got the fast individual games, but not the lower ceilings that would make fast individual games fair. Decks in Master Duel have some of the highest ceilings in any Yu-Gi-Oh format that currently exists, and in one format that has zero built-in mechanism, no side deck, no game 2 to check that ceiling, that's the contradiction sitting at the center of Master Duel. And I think this same logic explains why floodgates are still en masse legal in Master Duel. Not just the format being best of one in the first place. A shifter lock or a fossil dyna end board ends a game fast. So does a turn timer. They're doing the same job from two different angles, keeping the average session short, keeping people moving through matches quickly so they don't have to put the app down. If Konami is genuinely worried about people spending too long on a single game, fine. Keep the timer tight. But then the responsible move is to remove the floodgates and the power cards that make grind games impossible in the first place, so that a short tight timer is actually enough time to play a real interactive Yu-Gi-Oh duel. Right now, we've got some of the worst combinations of both. A timer that punishes long, skillful grind games, and a card pool that barely lets grind games happen to begin with. If they're going to keep the clock short, the least they could do is let the games be fun and interactive for players. Part 3, secondary issues. The ban list is a big one, but it creates a cascade of similar problems that are worth mentioning. Just like I was saying, the timer is way too short. This one matters more than people think. It's worth...
You can tell that this is a branded player because the timer is not a problem. I'm sorry. I think there should be a little bit more time given on subsequent turns, but like there are some decks that will just have timer issues more than others, and this is very clearly like a branded issue. I don't think the timer is a problem.
Its own moment.
And this is coming from someone who regularly like has timed out, right? But that's because of like my personal proficiency, overthinking, taking too long because I'm not very familiar with the deck. Like once you reach a certain level, I think the timer is like fair. I don't think it's like a major issue. It's like the 23rd reason why Master Duel was bad or something. It's like, you know.
In this essay. Master Duel runs on a relatively short timer per turn, and in a format where some of the decks have 40-step combo sequences, that timer creates two separate problems. One, combo players who haven't fully internalized their lines are being rushed into misplays. That's bad for game quality. Two, grind game.
Yeah, but that's just practice, right? Like, I'm sorry, but like, someone said it here. Like, if you don't have enough time, you don't know your deck enough or the format well enough. Like, I've never, like, I don't think I've ever complained about the timer because of like a legitimate deserved loss. Like maybe out of like frustration or something, but like when looking back and analyzing my games, a lot of any games I've timed out is like me just being slow. Like, and I'm ready to admit that, you know, like it's genuinely just not knowing the deck well enough and not being familiar enough with the matchup. And that just comes with practice. I think it's okay to time out if you don't know the format well enough and you take too long, you know. If anyone has ever like been in a situation in real life and had judges watching, like I mean, again, it's all open to the interpretation because it's a gray area because it's a judge and every judge is different. But like, if you've ever like had a judge sit and watch your gameplay, they issue slow play warnings like anything, dude. Like they really expect you to play quicker. Like you cannot just sit there for like minutes at a time, like thinking about your turn, you know?
Back and forth interactive duels where both players are fighting over resources become nearly unplayable because both players are burning time in an extended game. Branded mirrors, for example, can be incredibly complex, trying to navigate a real mid-range chess timer under a timer that wasn't designed for that kind of game is legitimately frustrating. Like I said earlier, I think it's the same instinct that keeps Floodgates legal. Konami wants games to move fast, but if that's the design goal, the fix isn't just to leave the timer short and hope for the best, it's to ban the cards that make grind games impossible, so the games that do go for the distance are actually good ones. A 50 to 100 second timer increase, or some sort of time clawback mechanic for shorter turns, would meaningfully improve the experience without breaking anything.
This sounds like a branded player that's salty. Dude, like I'm not trying to like be mean or anything, but this is legitimately just a branded take. I'm really sorry, but this is a branded, the timer is not an issue.
I think this point is especially egregious when you consider Master Duel started out with a 600-second time.
Bro, like, are you kidding me? Like, 300 seconds is fine. Like, I'm sorry. The only issue that I have with the timer is, a hot take, I think the timer should be even lower. My only issue is, like, you should get more time back for turn 2, 3, 4, 5, etc., right? I think, like, turn 1, it's genuinely too much. I think I think you could lower it even further. It's, turn 2... I think you only get, what, 30 seconds? I think you should probably get, like, 60 seconds. Yeah, I mean, this was egregious at launch, dude. Like, do you know how many games people would just BM, like, what's the word? Timeout, just for the sake of being, like, annoying? Like, they would, like, they didn't like your combo, so they sit and fucking rope you for 10 minutes. That's unreal. Oh, Rhyme Style. I play White Forest, never had timeout issues. Deadass, just a skill issue. Dude! This guy plays one of the most, like, freaking combo-heavy decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! And he ain't complaining about the timer, okay? But to be fair, Rhyme, your deck has, like, no grind game, so... You're gonna win turn 1 or lose turn 1, right?
And now as the game has gotten more complicated, it is at a 300-second timer. And here's maybe the most important point of the video. And it's the one I think Konami is aware of and is leaning on it in a way that's not great for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community writ large. Master Duel is the only official simulator to play the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game on. There is no official TCG or OCG simulator. If you want...
Wrong! My goat! Wrong!
Want to play online Yu-Gi-Oh? That's it if you want to do it legally. If you want to play online Yu-Gi-Oh in an official format, that's the only way to do it. And that matters because that means the community has no alternative. You play Master Duel or you go to locals and play physical, or you play unofficial platforms that Konami has not sanctioned. That lack of competition removes a lot of pressure on Konami to actually fix things. Why have the urgency to overhaul the ban list when people are just going to play anyways? Where else are they going to go? And here's what makes the situation even...
I mean, this is like a fair point, right? Like, if you're addicted to Yu-Gi-Oh! And you're just obsessed with Yu-Gi-Oh!, it's like, it doesn't matter how bad, like, the platform is, right? You're just going to keep playing, you know? What are you going to do? Not build the new best deck in Master Duel? Bitch? Huh? No, you're not. You're going to keep playing.
It's not like Konami is neutral on unofficial simulator.
What the fuck? That is so old school. Dude, my wife made a dueling book account. I forgot about this. Oh my god. I gotta send her this shit.
They've made it pretty clear over the years.
What's the timestamp for this? 27 minutes? Oh my
like Yu-Gi-Oh!
God, this was so long ago.
Leaning on dueling book. Which,
oh, that takes me back, dude. What's her rating? Probably higher than me.
For a long time was the closest thing this community had.
What year was it? 2018, I think, or something? Dude, I think this was like the first year I went full time.
to an actual Yu-Gi-Oh simulator with best of 3 and a side deck. Famous Yu-Gi-Oh content creator Farfa built a huge chunk of his early channel on Dueling Book content. And once he became a Konami-sponsored content creator, that content basically disappeared. So you have a company that...
Listen, come on, okay? John Konami says that we need to use the best simulator, which is Macedo, and I said, yes, sir. Please pay me.
that clearly doesn't want their sponsored content creators associated
You
with
look so weird without a beard. Okay, do you know what happened? There was a small incident that day. I was using the hashtag ad manscaped, trimmer, and I used a blade that was one setting shorter than my normal thing, and I shaved the day before leaving, so I didn't have time to grow. So that's the story there. I did not mean to look like this. It was a shaving error, and that was the problem.
Content creator.
You know?
That content basically disappeared. So you have a company that clearly doesn't want their sponsored content creators associated with these unofficial simulators. And on top of that, the last real iteration of Dueling Book, called Dueling Network, got hit with a copyright shutdown from one of the actual rights holders of Yu-Gi-Oh! Meanwhile, Konami still won't build the thing that would make this all a non-issue. They're outsourcing the entire let people play real Yu-Gi-Oh! Online responsibility to unofficial fan projects while discouraging their own creators from touching those projects and never stepping up to make an official version of the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG themselves. My honest guess as to why? I think they're afraid of what it would do to Master Duel's player numbers. If Konami dropped an official best of 3 TCG simulator, or even just added a proper TCG ladder inside Master Duel itself, I think it would gut the best of 1 mode they've spent years building a road to the World Championship for. They've put...
Ooh, I think that's a very, very bubble take there. That's a caught in your own little environment thing. Like, that is no. A lot of people absolutely love best of 1 and are fine with best of 1. Like, a lot of people. Like, so much so to the point now, I think I straight up just prefer best of 1. Like, yeah, I think some of the card pool could be adjusted, and there are, like, things that are problematic in best of 1 when they are so powerful because of auto wins like shifter and stuff like that, blah blah blah. But for like the most part, like, a lot of people do really just like the idea of I can just play best of 1. You know, I don't have to think too hard about it. I want to play like 10-15 minutes of Yu-Gi-Oh! I'll just queue 1 game. You know, not everyone wants to sit and play for like a freaking 80-minute like Dueling Book grind with a judge call and like rolling check. Like, you know, not everyone's trying to do that. I'm not saying best of 1 is bad, but it's just like they should balance it around best of 1. There's no excuse not to have a TCG simulator. Oh, he's here. It's metagames. Yeah, no, I think that not having best of 3 is just like a mobile games gacha type of thing, right? Like, I don't think it's like a preference for one or the other. It's, as you said, playtime and screen retention is massive for creating like these mobile games and apps, and best of 1 I think facilitates that really well. And to be honest, like, a lot of players at this point are probably just so used to Yu-Gi-Oh being best of 1 and are fine with it. Like, that's how you play a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh and OCG, right? They're way more open to best of 1 than we are, for example.
Real infrastructure into making best of 1 a real competitively viable format, and a side deck
a way to test
TCG format ladder sitting right next to it.
Okay, so I've always thought it would be really like the amount of times that I have played Yu-Gi-Oh online and then decided that I'm gonna go and buy the deck in real life because I had so much fun with it has happened like multiple times, but I've never like properly like committed because those overlaps rarely happen, right? Because Macedo was so far behind in its card pool, and like it's just a different game. But like I would love to be able to like go to locals, play Macedo, and then take my deck to locals and play my Macedo deck at locals. But you just can't do that, right? You just can't do that.
Probably expose which one people would want to play more.
But, you know.
So instead, we get neither a good official alternative to play the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG, nor real support for any of these unofficial simulators that are attempting to do Konami's job. Just Master Duel, with no competition to force it to get better. I genuinely believe if there were an official TCG simulator running best of 3 with a side deck with a properly balanced fan list, Master Duel would have to compete for players, and that competition would be healthy. It would force changes. But that simulator doesn't exist, and some days I don't think that's an accident. Part 4, what...
I'd say I don't. It's just such a big what if, right? Like, I think people are very happy and love best of 1, but I don't know. I think Konami are probably worried about their player base being split. Like, what did we see the average player base was on Steam specifically? 15,000 per month. That's like not that big of a number, right? And on top of, I mean, you know, we don't have OCG mobile numbers because that isn't included. But if you divide your player base too much, then you, I don't know, you're going to run into things like bad queue times, you know? Splitting that in half, like imagine how bad it would be for like rated mode and stuff, right? So, I don't know.
Actually needs to change. I don't want this video to just be a complaint session. I've played Yu-Gi-Oh since 2001, and
I don't want this video to be just complaining, but I mean, you know, when you call your video Master Duel lost 25% of his players and it's 35 minutes long, that's kind of gonna be the output here, right?
played Master Duel since launch. I want to see it succeed. So let me tell you specifically what I think needs to change. Ban the cards that don't belong in best of one. This is a big one, but it's non-negotiable. I could think off the top of my head 50 plus cards that genuinely do not belong in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah,
And this
Albaz
tweet
needs to
listed
go.
a lot of them. I don't agree with some of them. I feel like Fulos is definitely something that should be a part of the game, but this goes to show the exact magnitude of the situation that Master Duel presents itself with its ban list. There is a category
What
of
the
cards
fuck is that? Wait, what was that?
the situation that Master Duel presents itself with its ban list. There is a
Clear Vicious Knight. What? Is that a card? Is this a chef deck? Yeah.
category of cards that are fundamentally
It's
incompatible
5300,
with a
by the
format
way.
that has no side deck. Floodgates, shifter-like effects that are lingering for the whole turn and your opponent can't.
Okay, so let me scratch my head on this one again, because I think I basically mentioned it earlier, but having egregiously broken cards in a best of one format, I think is fine as a casual game, right? I've talked about like why floodgates exist like multiple times, and the TLDR is like bad players need a chance to beat good players, and that's a fundamental principle in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is if you believe in your deck hard enough and if you get lucky enough, the best player in the world can lose to anyone, right? If you draw the right cards. And that's a good like fundamental like aspect to have in a casual video game like Master Duel. A casual road to worlds. But that's the thing though, and at the upper echelon of Yu-Gi-Oh! It's like these players are playing hundreds of games that the variance on these things balance out, which is why a lot of these cards are just limited, and why a lot of the broken crazy wombo combo decks, the ceilings are the same, but they are significantly less consistent because they're just not viable because they lose to any hand trap or they have crazy fragile choke points. But you can still play those decks if you want to, and if you resolve it, you can beat anyone. And that's like a good quote-unquote thing to have. Like we've seen so many times YCSs where people have done like the craziest plays. I say craziest plays. Some of the craziest incidents have happened at YCSs, like watching a Labyrinth player full nuke a Kashtira player's hand with epidemic virus, right? Like, that's not good gameplay, but it's entertaining, it's cinema, it's just shock factor. Like, that's good, quote unquote, for the hype of the game, right? And a lot of these cards create hype moments like that. Irrespective of what you think, when you're watching a YCS stream and someone pulls off a dumb, crazy combo, you're like, wow, that was incredible. Or some clutch card comes down, Droll gets resolved. Everyone is like, Droll, he has Droll. The crowd goes wild if you've ever been to a YCS. Again, it's not the healthiest shit ever, but like it does create cinema, you know? Floodgates are a problem, but I'm over here like, why are we printing cards? Why are we printing cards that lets you look at your opponent's entire hand and keep printing more? Yeah, that's a different can of worms.
I'll play it. Turn-ending hand traps, cards that when
Yu-Gi-Oh! is
resolved
just
remove
unhealthy
the
in a
opponent
lot of
without
aspects.
recourse. But if you want to dumb it down, the list doesn't need to be that long. If we just got rid of Maxi, Dimensional Shifter, Barone de Fleur, cards like Fossil Dyna, Harpy's Featherstorm, and Different Dimension Ground, cards of this category need to go. Lower the overall ceiling.
Yeah, I low-key like really enjoyed the take that someone had earlier where they were suggesting that these best of one floodgate cards actually prevent people from playing them. Because like, if you're putting Dimensional Fissure in your deck, it's like, it must be so miserable, right? Because it's just doing nothing. Maybe not Di-Fi specifically, but I don't know. You put like the one-off Shifter in your deck, it must be so miserable to have that card in your deck and draw it like going second on like turn 2 or something, right? For turn. deck thinning and then getting a shifter, getting a floodgate. Like it's probably like makes you not want to play those cards straight up. Like I can't imagine sleeving up Fossil Dyna outside of funny content videos and being like, oh no, I'm going to unironically seriously play a stun deck. It's like, okay, cool. What the fuck are you going to do, like, going second 50% of the time? That's miserable. That's so unfun. I'm just sitting there, like, looking at full branded combo. Albaz has resolved, like, 9 times because they gave him 13 different surnames. And they've searched, like, 16 cards. 18 cards have added to the hand in the end phase. And I'm sitting there with, like, ah, yes, my fire barrier statue is going to totally do something going second. That probably sucks so much ass.
Of the format. Even beyond specific problem cards, Master Duel would benefit from a broader acknowledgement that the power level of the format needs to come down. Every deck having a ceiling this high in a format with no side deck means that whoever draws their best hand wins. Skill gets compressed and the format rewards getting lucky more than it
But
rewards
what he's
playing
not
well.
understanding here is, like, that is really cool and based. Genuinely. It is really epic and funny to do wombo combo. That's the truth.
Now, of course, the DC Cup attempts to remedy this by having so
DC
many
Cup
games in a short
mentions
session that
Chai
skill does start coming out with the same players winning the DC Cups. But on ladder and for the average player experience, that skill is way more compressed because not everyone is a worlds grinder. The first rule of game design is to have a fun game, and I think the Master Duel devs genuinely forgot that when they designed this ban list. And just like I mentioned before, they should probably fix the timer or adjust it. Adding 50 to 100
Yeah, but
seconds
fun is, like,
or a clawback
subjective in that
mechanic
way, right?
would immediately make the game feel better for grind games and newer players. Make the ban list philosophy explicit and consistent. Part of what makes the current Master Duel ban list so frustrating is that many of the hits just feel arbitrary. Cards stay legal for months after the community reaches consensus that they are a problem, then something random gets hit that nobody expected. There's no clear communication about what the design philosophy is, what the target experience looks like, or what the criteria are for a card getting hit. I'm not asking for Konami to explain every decision, I'm just asking for consistency. And here's where I land on all of this. Master Duel—
Wait, hold up. This is a crazy take. Farfa, I play stun and going second is fine because you put in cards that are good going second. Yo, he's spitting! Dude, that's crazy. Truth, Nick. Dude, like, that's the problem with stun. Now you have the opposite problem when you're going first. Because now, going first in stun, you can just brick on shit like evenly matches and dark ruler or super polys, whatever like crap you play, right? Like stun has like so many issues in reverse now, you know. Also, the problem with that is like the reality is like a lot of those cards like just don't win going second. Like a lot of that, like you evenly match a good branded player, it actually just doesn't do anything.
is a game I love. It's a game I'll probably keep playing until it shuts down. The free-to-play model is very good. The DC concept is great. This game does real things right. But the way it's currently being ran, the ban list philosophy, the refusal to acknowledge that best of one requires a different balancing approach, the tolerance for cards that create non-games, make it easily the worst way to experience Yu-Gi-Oh! When it's supposed to be one of the best. And what stings is that the fixes aren't that complicated. They don't require rebuilding the game from scratch. The work is cut out for them. They require some targeted bans and a shift in balance philosophy. Ban the cards that don't belong in best of one, lower decks ceilings, fix the timer, be consistent. I've played some of the best Yu-Gi-Oh! In my life on Master Duel. I've also played sessions that genuinely make me question why I'm even doing this. The gap between those two experiences is the ban list. Full stop. I've been playing this game since launch, and I want to be playing it in 2031. I just want the game to be better than it is today. They've got to fix
2031.
Running the
Do you think they'll power creep tunes by then?
They care about the playability and enjoyability of the game, despite how much money it takes to travel, stay up to date with staples, is still a better and more fair experience than the free-to-play digital client that you can play from your couch. That's wild and probably should not be true. Until they make the changes that need to be made, the ultimate skill of Master Duel will remain, not getting tilted. And I refuse to believe that's the intended design. I'm Chris. If you want to see more Yu-Gi-Oh! Video essays like this, subscribe, like the video, and comment down below.
Not getting tilted is like a major skill in like every video game, though, right?
Did I miss anything?
Like half the mental of fucking League is probably tolerating other people in your lobby, you know? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I felt like a lot of this video was maybe repeating a lot of the same points that basically just boil down to the subjective nature of like, what do I think is fun? What do I think is, you know, like healthy game design? I think a lot of that maybe isn't objective, right? I just don't think a lot of that stuff is objectively true or false in a in a best of one Master Duel environment, especially when there's like so many different types of people that play these games, right? So who knows? Who knows? Thoughts and prayers, etc., etc. Master Duel bad. Go subscribe to Metagames.